Hey, hi everyone. So in the last video, we discussed about, why religions were created, right? And yeah, two to three questions. Uh, like we talked about, dichotomies, right? Do those things exist, or are those concepts created by human beings? And how that is related to consciousness, right? And yeah, mainly good or bad. How do we decide when something is good or bad, right? And yeah, apart from that, the how that is related to consciousness and why religions were created, right? And yeah, we also talked about how religion is affecting, people, mainly creating inequalities and all, right? And yeah, and there were unanswered questions like who are we, right? And we haven't talked about the independent religion yet, right? So we'll talk about it today, right? And yeah, so we talked, right? That good or bad, everything is like human concepts, right? And yeah, so yeah, so now let's move the second question, right? Who are we, right? So to really answer that question, we have to know. We know about the lifetime, right, between birth and death, and but to know about who are we have to know about. Before birth and after death, right? So we actually don't know. Whenever we only consider between birth and death, right? We only consider that period. We forget about what is before birth and after death, right? And that is and so before birth, right? Okay. So if you see here, right? All yeah, we are born, right? Some part of us, if we talk from the elements or matter perspective, right? So some we are integrated uh, from those matters, or whatever non-living beings are already existing, right? So we came out of nothingness. Now let's talk about what happens after death, right? So after death as well, we are trying to achieve nothingness, right? Because after death, anyhow, we are gonna, uh, die, and all our parts, right? They will achieve nothingness, right? Now, no, yeah. So now let's define. Who are we, right? So I've come up with this answer, right, for the definition of who are we, right? So as per my perspective, right? So we are just a small part of infinite nothingness, right? And and we'll achieve nothingness after death, and will eventually achieve nothingness after death. And for a small time period, which we call lifetime, right, between birth and death, we have consciousness, right? And this consciousness creates this whole reality. And so yeah. So now let's analyze here. So we are saying, so whatever we have, right? So in between we have consciousness, and on before death, I mean we were part of nothingness, right? And after death as well, we are gonna merge into nothingness. So here we can see, right? Both the sides we have infinite, right? and the in between, that's a finite thing, right? So let's say this is a line. I mean, this is a uh, lifetime, right? Here we have before. I mean, this is before death, and this is after death. So we can say, I mean, we this part has very little significance, right? When we compare it with this whole time period, right? Which is like infinite. So that's why, I mean, we have to consider nothingness as our, I mean, uh, ultimate achievement. Okay. No, no, no. Yeah. So yeah, you got a high level overview of who are we, right? We already talked about these two questions, why religions were created. We can go through this answer once again, right? So religions were created as systems to run society in a better way, right? But this system created inequalities between people in the society, and now everyone is running around money, right? And now let's talk about money, right? So money is a concept, right, to create exchange of things of goods between people, right? And why we are earning money? To achieve goodness, right? And goodness is also concept created by humans. So the what happened here? So this created a lot of complex dependency between people, and and which made it very harder to remain equal or peace or free, right? So these are mainly, we can say, uh, part of nothingness. So through nothingness, we are actually achieving this equality, peace, and free. So that's why we uh, we want to achieve all these through nothingness. I mean, before birth, we are at this level, and after death as well, we actually have all these equality, peace, and freedom. But between I mean, birth and death, we are actually divided of all these three. Right? All these three are interlinked. So yeah, so I've come up with this answer for this question. And the second question, which was like, what is good or bad thing, right? Or concept, and how was it related to consciousness? So when we see with respect to nothingness, there is no such, I mean, good or bad concept, right? And yeah, and nothingness treats everything equal, right? And they don't compare anything, right? And yeah, so from human perspective, these are just concepts created by human. And yeah, and some part of it, I mean, which we discussed in the previous video, I mean, is determined by consciousness, right? But consciousness comes within this lifetime, right? And which has very little significance in entire period, right? An entire period of nothingness. So this is this part is nothingness, right? And this is also nothingness. So here in between we have consciousness. So now yeah, we have already defined who are we, right? Now let's move to this fourth question. So how is nothingness comparable to equality or peace? And is that our ultimate aim of life? Right. So yeah, so I think I already covered here, right? So nothingness doesn't compare anything and treats everything the way is, right? And is at peace and independent, right? But through consciousness, we are trying to create a lot of concepts, right? These concepts like money and goodness, right? Good or bad. So all these are created through consciousness, through our consciousness, and which has very little significance than entire nothingness, right? Which we talked about this entire period. So our ultimate motive here should be to achieve equality and peace, right? Which is, I mean, part of nothingness only. I mean, through nothingness, we are actually achieving all these three, right? So that's why our ultimate aim should be to make this consciousness comparable to nothingness, right? We must try to make it, I mean, similar to nothingness. So that's why our ultimate aim of our life should be to achieve equality and peace as well as nothingness, right? For which we need a new religion, because from existing religions there are a lot of dependencies, and those systems has a lot of problem, right? We already talked about it. Yeah, I think, yeah. So in the next videos we'll talk about how what is this independent religion, right, and why do we need it.